Chicken soup. It has to be one of the great Colombian dishes. And it is one of the dishes you can cook outside the country if you are just a little bit inventive. And it is a very representative dish of the people who live in the high Andean mountains. And for a very particular reason. It is very representative of both the culture that's pre-Columbian and post-discovery. Here I have a chicken. The chicken which is going to go into the broth. It arrived here after the conquest. The potatoes, which are completely pre-Columbian, also are going to go into the pan. And it has corn on the cob. There's no ingredient that's more American than this. It has rawhide and onion. And at the end we add cream and capers, which are completely European. And of course didn't exist before the conquest. All you have to do is take the lid off the pan and you can see exactly who we are, the people who live in the highlands of the Andes. It is quite easy to make an ajiaco, at least relatively easy. And my little secret to making an excellent ajiaco is to start the whole process off with chicken broth. And this will give a depth of flavor to the soup that is my secret. And in the chicken broth I'm going to cook 1 or 2 chickens depending on how much I'm going to make. And to give even more flavor, the chicken is going to release some of its flavor into the soup. Then you have to start adding all the different kinds of potatoes to the pot. 2 of the potatoes are really easy to find. The white ones are pastuso or the red ones sabaneras. And the next secret to our soup is papa criolla or Creole potatoes that only grow high up in the Andean mountains. This doesn't mean that you can't make the soup outside of Colombia. I've done it several times and with great success. The secret is to look for a yellow potato, like a Yukon potato in the United States, or a new potato in Great Britain and Europe. So it gives the color, but it doesn't give the thickness to the soup we're looking for. So we have to use some little tricks to sort it out. And we add a little bit of corn flour in order to get the thickness that the soup would have if it were made with Creole potatoes. It's not completely Catholic, but it works when you're making the soup outside Colombia. So let's begin to add the different potatoes to the soup. Let's begin with the white potatoes. It's an easy process. I've already peeled and cut the potatoes into equal parts. So let's add the special potato, the Creole one. So we're going to cook this for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It all depends on how thick you've cut your potatoes. And the soup must have its own particular thickness. That depends on which house you're in. Some people say that a good ajiaco should be thick enough to be able to stand a spoon in. That's not my version. I prefer a more liquid version, where you can still see the potatoes in the soup and they've maintained their form. The herb we're going to use to flavor the soup is rawhide, which grows all over the savanna of Bogotá. And people believe you cannot get this herb outside of Colombia. The reason they can't find it is because they don't know the name. The translation of guascas into English is rawhide. And it's the name of a TV program that was very famous in the 1950s. I've seen this plant growing like a weed on Fifth Avenue in New York and outside Harrods in London. The same guascas that grow here in Colombia. The difference is that people believe it's just a weed. They don't know how delicious it is. The guascas are added at the end of the cooking process. So we're going to set the pot off with the potatoes and we're going to add some salt and pepper. And then towards the end of the cooking, we're going to add the herb. And the corn on the cob is cooked apart because they have the tendency to cause the soup to ferment. So, it's a good idea to cook them apart and add them to the soup at the moment of serving. This way you avoid your soup turning into chicha. So the time has passed, an hour and a bit, just the right length in order to have the soup in the condition we want it. I have added the corn on the cob and the rawhide just at the last moment. The chicken is cooked, I've taken it out, I've removed the meat from the bones and returned it to the pan. This is much easier than using whole pieces of chicken. Those you have to take out and put them on a plate beside the soup. And in this form, all you need to eat it is a spoon. So let's serve the soup. So we need a big serving spoon. We want the soup on the plate to have lots of liquid and chicken and corn on the cob and rawhide. I like to fill the plate right up to the top. You can always be sure that people are going to ask for some more when you serve ajiaco. So let's add capers. That will give a little acid touch that's very nice, and some cream. To taste, and that's our ajiaco ready.